Thank you for joining me for today's video, Software as a Service for the Rest of Us. I'm Bob Cusick, founder of Clickware. Today we're going to talk a little bit about the definition of what software as a service is. Then we'll talk about how to create your strategy, a little bit about implementation, and some pricing strategies to consider. First off, the definition of what software as a service is. It's new for application service provider or rented versus on-premises software. This is software that usually runs off-site and the customer can go ahead and access it via the web browser or via a terminal services session, but the main point is that it's not actually installed in their own physical server. This tends to reduce costs on both sides, both for the customer because they don't have to expend IT resources in installing and maintaining it, and also for the software vendor because they don't have a bunch of customers who are on older versions and not having to support multiple versions. So part of the savings comes from this reduced maintenance. Reduce maintenance in terms of IT having to install updates or migrate databases, and also maintenance savings for the software vendor as well. Most people tend to think of only browser-based applications when they think of software as a service, but it doesn't have to be that way. There are technologies, for example, Servoy, that will allow you to create both client-server applications or native applications, as well as web browser-based applications, all from the same code base. So the big question is, why can't we have both? Maybe your model is only on-premise now, but you want to either move to the browser or have to move to the browser because of the demands of your customers. And the short answer is, you can have both. It really just depends on your technology choice. Software as a service is not going away. It's here to stay. Right now, 10% of all the software sold is sold only as a service. But Gartner says by 2012 they estimate over 50% of all software will be sold only as a service. In addition, a recent eWeek article states that over 50% of U.S. developers plan on working on at least one software as a service project in 2009. So this is not a trend that's just going to go away. This is not something that's the latest and greatest fad. It's a business model that's here to stay. And because it's a business model that's here to stay, you need to decide what your SaaS strategy is going to be. Even if you decide that SaaS is not something that you want to do, you still need to decide what you're going to do. Your SaaS implementation does not have to be an all or nothing. You can SaaS enable only part of your application, for example. And you don't have to necessarily start over from scratch and rewrite your entire application. You could create a new light version of your product, or you can only port parts of your applications over as a service. Maybe it makes more sense to have a customer service portal or to do some reports for executives inside of the browser and not your entire product. Your SaaS offering should enhance your revenue and not replace it. That just simply means that if you're already selling an on-premise piece of software, that your SaaS offering should not cannibalize those sales of on-premise software, but rather they should enhance it or offer something new and different that your on-premise software doesn't. You could even create a whole new product that would help you open up markets and new niches. For example, you could create a light version, you can create one that's maybe scaled down or targeted to a certain industry. Software as a service types of solutions are a great way to help you retain customers and leads because they're able to try it before they're fully committed. And then once they try it and they get invested in it, the chances are higher that they're going to go ahead and stay with the service. And one great thing about the SaaS strategy is recurring revenue, and everybody loves that. Now let's talk a minute about the how of the SaaS implementation. There's basically 5 versions or 5 flavors of SaaS depending on who you talk to. The first one and the most important one, the one that most companies use, is called multi-tenant, where many companies share the same application and the same database. Then you have multi-instance shared service. This is where you have a different application for every customer and a different database for every customer with some of the shared services in common. Next you have the application service provider, where you have actually separate instances, separate databases on your own custom hardware for every single customer. Then you have basically a variation on that, where you have the same sort of idea, separate instance, separate database, but you have virtualized or shared hardware that's shared by multiple companies. And finally you have a hybrid approach, where the primary application is hosted at your location, at the customer's location, but it has supplemental functionality provided by some kind of a SaaS provider. There is no such thing, unfortunately, as one size fits all, but most people choose the multi-tenant model because of the ease of development and the ease of rolling out new versions and the ease of maintenance. So now let's talk about software as a service pricing. Typically it's per user per month, but it doesn't have to be that way. It's sort of the Wild West out there right now. You can come up with any business model that makes sense for you. You can charge your regular price. You can charge per concurrent user. You can charge a set monthly fee for a set number of users, or up to 3 or up to 10, and then charge per additional user per month. You can charge for specific functionality. So you may have a base price plus an additional price if they use additional features. The key here is to reduce the friction, so you want to make it very, very easy for your customers to try and get into your SaaS solution, and you want to make it very easy and very clear and very simple as to what your pricing and your terms are, so that customers are more likely to buy your service. In conclusion, you need to think about how you can add your software product as a service. What will people buy? What are your current customers asking for? Are your competitors already doing some kind of a SaaS, and are they getting it right or getting it wrong? How can you get your SaaS strategy implemented? And finally, the big question that everybody wants to know, how much is it going to cost and how long is it going to take me to do it? This is exactly where Clickware can help. We can help you with your strategic planning, your marketing and market research, your application design and specification, all the way through the development and the implementation. You can contact us at sales@clickware.com, and we'll be happy to talk to you about what your exact needs are. You can also go ahead on our main site and fill out a quote request, and we'll get back to you as soon as possible. Thank you very much for having a look at SaaS for the rest of us. I'm Bob Cusick.